This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, and today we're going to talk about optimizing your Facebook ads with some functions that you perhaps didn't even know existed, but you most certainly should be using. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering what next, or how do I even make this better, then I know that you're going to love today's episode. I remember when I first started doing Facebook ads, and this was a lot of years ago, and I still remember the product that I was advertising. So if you haven't followed me before, you may not know that I founded and then grew and then sold a multi-award-winning chain of eco baby stores. And one of our best-selling products were these beautiful Moses baskets. Now, if you haven't got a child or you're not into that kind of stuff, a Moses basket is like a little cradle that you sit beside your bed. And these Moses baskets were beautiful. The lining inside was this just amazing patterns and colors, and customers loved them. So my first foray into Facebook ads was advertising these Moses baskets. And I thought I'd done a lot of research, and I knew I was going to advertise them in February because that was baby month. In actual fact, I should have done that a little bit earlier. But you know what? At least I did a little bit of research. So I ran my first ad, and I had a look in my ads manager just before I came on, and I was spending $30 a day, which, when we're talking probably 10 years ago, that was a lot of money for me and my business. The supplier had an offer that was available for a really short period of time. So I decided to put a bunch of money into these Facebook ads. I think the offer went for about a week. So I put a bunch of money into these Facebook ads, and knowing that they already sold really well, and I wanted to sell a bunch more. And I had a look before I jumped onto the podcast, and I was spending, and I had one ad running, and it was running at $50 a day. And that was a huge amount of money for me then. I was putting a lot of stock in the fact that this product sold really well, so I couldn't see why people wouldn't buy more of it. So the ad actually went quite well, and we did sell quite a few Moses baskets, so I definitely had a return on investment. However, there was one thing I didn't do, and that was turn off the ad when the offer had finished. You know where this is going, don't you? Yep. I ended up doing nearly a whole week, so it was $300 extra that I spent in ads, and people buying a product that we didn't have the bonus to go with. So you can imagine it was a logistical nightmare, it was a customer experience nightmare, and I lost money in the process because we ended up having to refund all those orders because the supplier only had a limited number of these bonuses. So that burned me for a very long time. So I learnt my lesson, and when I jumped back into Facebook ads, I used to set calendar alerts to remind me to do things, like to remind me to turn ads off after a specific period of time, or to go in and change budgets, or go in and change the pictures, all the things that you do in Facebook ads. Because you want to be getting the best return on investment. When you're investing money, you want to make sure that you're making that money back. So with the price of Facebook ads going up, you want to ensure that you're getting the most bang for your buck, don't you? Yeah? Well, I am pleased to say that there are a bunch of inbuilt Facebook ad functions that you may not have even known existed that you'll be able to use after this episode to optimize your ad spend and get a better ROI. And you will not have to set a calendar alert ever again. In this episode, I'm going to share with you my 5 simple tools that don't cost a thing that will help you do exactly that, to optimize your ad spend and get a better return on investment when it comes to Facebook ads. So if you've been in Facebook ads quite a lot, maybe some of these won't be new to you, But I know that when I heard about some of them a couple of years ago, I didn't even know that they existed. So let's jump in. The first one that I want to tell you about, the first function inside of Facebook Business Manager, is called Dynamic Creative. And when this first came out, I was so excited. Now, Dynamic Creative is a little toggle that you can, a little button that you can toggle on when you're creating an ad. And it allows you to mix and match images and headlines and text. And then Facebook will jam them all together and mush them all up and present them to different customers. And then it will work out which combination of those things works best. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? Just being able to put all of the stuff that's in your brain and all those images into one ad and letting Facebook pick a winner. Well, hold up before you get all crazy excited about this one, because it has pros and cons. So as I mentioned, essentially what happens with Dynamic Creative is you can put in, say, 3 different images and 2 or 3 different headlines, and then maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 different. So what I love about Dynamic Creative is it gives you the opportunity to just test out different images, because maybe you already know what copy works. And so you just want to change out the images and see which one performs best. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you know which images convert. You know the type of images that your customers love to click on, but you're just not sure about the headline, or you're just not sure about the text. So with Dynamic Creative, you can put it all in there and Facebook will pick a winner. So it is really easy to create an ad and get it up and running. However, what I want you to be aware of is if you like to start out with, say, a $5 or $10 a day budget, you aren't going to be able to pick a real winner, because essentially, if you have 3 images, 3 lots of headlines, and 3 lots of texts, that's a lot of different combinations that Facebook could put out there. And I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not going to work out what that number is. But needless to say, it is a lot. So if you're only putting $5 or $10 in, Facebook just can't show all of the different combinations to enough customers to actually choose a winner. So if you are going to use Dynamic Creative, you need to be able to throw a lot of money at it right at the beginning to be able to find the ad that works for you. It really isn't going to work for a small budget. Now, if you are using product catalog ads, one of my favorite types of ads to use. If you are using product catalog ads, you can actually use Dynamic Creative in a very similar way. So instead of being able to mix and match the text, what you can do is mix and match the way that your customers are going to see your ads. So Facebook will actually optimize the experience for the customer and show them either a carousel ad or a collection ad or just a single picture or video based on what is most likely to convert for that person. So it is a little bit different than the Dynamic Creative that we just talked about. This is optimizing it for customer experience rather than optimizing it for you on the back end. And there's nothing special that you have to do to activate this. Once you use a catalog-based ad, you simply go in there and you choose the product set that you are going to draw the products from. You put your ad text in, and if you want to put your description options in, you put those as well. And then you toggle the little button that says Dynamic Creative, and Facebook will automatically create different versions of your ad with those different formats. So the carousel, collection, single video, or single image, depending on which one of those you're choosing. And then what happens is the customer sees the ad that they're most likely to respond to. So Facebook's been collecting all this data, and they know if you're more likely to click on a carousel ad or if you're more likely to click on a collections ad. So on the consumer end, on the front end, the end that your customer sees, the ad that I might see when I look at your product could be different to what my friend sees, because she's more likely to click on a single image ad and I'm more likely to click on a carousel ad. So just a reminder that that is called Dynamic Creative, but you'll only see that if you are using product catalog ads. So where you're drawing on your connected product catalog, so dynamic product ads, when you're drawing on those, this Dynamic Creative, which is different to the other one that we just talked about, This one is a really good way of optimizing your ads so that you are getting a better ROI and it's not going to cost you anything extra. Now, that's as opposed to the first dynamic creative that we talked about. I know it's very confusing when they're both called the same thing, but the first one that we talked about is you going in and testing different combinations. And remember I said that first dynamic creative where you're mixing and matching the pictures and the text, that's not necessarily the best ad to run continuously. You want to find the one that is a winner and then use that combination. So far we've covered 2 hidden tools that you might not know existed: the dynamic creative, where you mix and match, and the dynamic creative for product catalog ads. Once you've got an ad that works, you want to optimize it. You want to get, and you can do that with A/B testing. Now, this is at the campaign level. So when you hop into your business manager, there is in the navigation bar, there's a little button with what are those things called? Beaker, like a little beaker. So you select the campaign that you would like to A/B test, and then you click the A/B test button, and you'll be given a selection of variables that you can test. Depending on the kind of ad, you'll be able to swap out the image, the video, the ad text, the website URL, age and gender, and a saved audience. So those last 2 are more about the people, and the first lot of variables are more about the actual ad itself. And as I mentioned, A/B testing is when you're really looking at optimizing those little tweaks that can have massive results when it comes to engagement and ad spend, product sales, and overall return on investment. So A/B testing is often done when you already have a good idea of what works for your customers and for you, obviously. Okay, next up is the one that I wish was around when I did those Moses Basket ads, and they are rules. Have you been using rules inside of Facebook? Do you even know where they're located and what they do? Well, I'm here to tell you exactly that. So in that navigation bar, inside of your business manager, you have the navigation bar where it says create and duplicate, edit, A/B test. When you go right to the end, you see rules. Rules allow you to automatically update your campaigns or to notify you when a specific event happens. Like I said, I really wish this was around a long time ago because I used to have to set reminders to go in and increase ad spend or to go in and turn an ad off at a specific point. Personally, I don't like my ad frequency to be above 4, so I used to have to go in and check it every single day to see how that ad was performing. Now I just have a rule for specific ads. It completely depends on the type of ad that I'm running, that when frequency for those ads hits 4, they just switch themselves off. So some of the things that you can do with automated rules are things like pausing a campaign when it hits a specific metric, or increasing your budget by a certain percent or a certain amount when a specific amount of people have clicked on your ad, or changing your daily bid if you're using bidding based on a specific event happening. What I generally use it for is for turning ad sets on or off when a particular milestone is reached, such as that frequency of 4, and for increasing or decreasing, it's usually increasing a budget automatically when purchases hit a specific amount. So what I might do is say, increase my budget 10% every 6 hours when purchases are greater than 50 in the last day. They're quite specific. And I particularly like being able to adjust the budget automatically because, as you know, if you've been in ads for any length of time, Facebook doesn't like huge jumps. So if you have an ad that's going well, it can be really tempting to go from $10 a day to $50 a day. But in actual fact, you'll be penalized if that happens. You're completely screwing up the Facebook algorithm. So when that happens, what you can do is say, when the ad has been clicked 472 times, increase my budget by 10% every 3 hours. And then you're giving Facebook a chance to work with that new set of data points that you've given it. If you haven't used rules before, I really do recommend that you jump in and just look around because I've just given you a couple of examples, but realistically, there are a lot of combinations that you can use that will give you that added advantage that you need when it comes to optimizing your ads. So far we've covered the 2 dynamic creatives, A/B testing, and rules. My next favorite thing to use inside of Facebook Business Manager is custom combinations for catalog ads. As I said before, I love catalog ads. And one of the first things that we do when we're creating ad campaigns for clients is to set up different retargeting ads based on how many days have passed since a customer has added something to their cart. So we set up, I think it's generally a 24-hour, a 1 to 3 day, a 5 to 8 day, an 8 to 15 day, and then a 15 to 30 day. And each one of those touch points has a different ad because it's a different part of the customer journey. If you are just retargeting the same message to people over and over and over again and they're still not buying, you're just going to annoy them. So by leading them through this customer journey and showing them different ads at different touch points, you have a much better chance of getting them to convert. And you're probably thinking, what do I put in all those different ads? So we do things like reviews. We might do a how-to for specific products, a video that shows you how to use it. We might do an infographic or a video or an image ad on the product specifications. For some bricks and mortar stores, we might show an actual image of the store because it's social proof. So it really is just identifying what information a customer wants from you during that customer journey and then serving it up to them. I don't know if you can hear that dog barking in the background, but I have put off recording this podcast for the last 2 days because it has been so noisy. That's not my dog. Greyhounds don't really bark. That's somebody else's dog. And clearly they're not telling it to be quiet. So the last 2 days, totally nothing to do with Facebook ads, but the last 2 days, the neighbours, I live in a cul-de-sac, and the neighbours on the left had this huge tree removed yesterday. There was a crane and machinery. It was about 20 metres tall. Today, the neighbours on the other side decided to do the exact same thing. So for the last 2 days, as much as I love chainsaws, it's what I used to do for a living, the last 2 days it has been so noisy. I have a really bad headache, and now it's the evening. I'd really like to be kicking back with a glass of wine, but I'm here recording this podcast, and now a bloody dog starts barking. So apologies for that. I've tried to make this environment as quiet as possible, but you can never stop the dog from next door from barking. Okay, so where were we? Dynamic creatives, A/B testing, rules, custom combinations. Oh, did we finish custom combinations? I don't think we did. So when you go in to create your catalog ads, you have things like people who have added to cart or people who have viewed and not purchased. Custom combinations allow you to make decisions such as people who have added to cart in the last 10 days but not purchased, but then exclude people who have added to cart in the last 3 days. So you have to manipulate the data to get those touch points that you want, but it's really easy. It's just a couple of drop-down boxes. So I really do recommend when it comes to using custom combinations for catalog ads to draw this out. Draw out what it would look like at each point of that customer journey, and then what kind of ad do you think is going to get them across the line? And once you've done that, then you can jump in and show them those different ads. Now, if you're paying attention to what I just said and you know your way around Facebook ads, you're probably wondering, how was I showing things like reviews and pictures of a storefront using custom combinations? Well, in actual fact, I wasn't using custom combinations from the catalog. I was using custom combinations from new audiences or from saved audiences. So we do the exact same thing and create audiences at those particular touch points. So 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, whatever that looks like. And for those ads that aren't specific products, we use the same concept, but we use audiences instead of custom combinations inside of catalog ads. But what we do when we're using catalog ads is making sure that the language that we use and the products that we show are completely relevant for where a customer is at in that buying journey. Okay, so I have one more, which kind of makes 6 because dynamic creative was really 2 different ones. But I said there were going to be 5, so I'm going to mush the 2 dynamic creatives into one and give you one last tool that is free inside of Facebook Business Manager that you could be using right now to optimize your ads. And maybe you're already doing this because Facebook does prompt you when you create an ad. But if you aren't, I really do recommend that you take a peek at using optimizing images for placement. So once you've created your ad and you've got your images in, Facebook allows you to swap out the image that you use based on where you're going to show that ad. So if you've got it in the Facebook feed, you might want a more rectangular ad. Whereas if you're showing that same ad on Instagram, you might want a square ad. Now, generally speaking, if we're going to run ads on Facebook and Instagram, we do create completely different campaigns. But if that's not something that you want to do, making sure that you have the correct image for the placement is really going to help you increase your return on investment. Because there's nothing worse than seeing an ad and half the text is missing, or the picture is all smushed up to one side because it's not designed for that placement. And as I said, Facebook actually prompts you during the ad creation process and asks you if you would like to do this. It doesn't cost any extra. It just means that the image that is served up to the customer is relevant for the platform of where they're going to see the ad. It's not like dynamic creative, it's not a mix and match. It is just simply the same ad, but with the image optimized for the platform. And I do not recommend mixing and matching images here. If you're going to do that, use the dynamic creative or use the A/B testing, because you really want to have an indication of whether the ad is performing on a particular platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Stories or Feed or Marketplace, based on that same set of data. If you want to mix it up, if you want to do the A/B testing, go and do the A/B testing, and that will give you better results. But this is just a simple thing that you can do. It doesn't take you very long. You just click the button and click the Instagram button or the Facebook newsfeed button and upload a new image, and Facebook will serve that to the customer based on where they are viewing your ad. Phew, I feel like I gave you a whole day's worth of Facebook ads information and crammed it into this one 25-minute episode. And look, there are a lot of tutorials out there and lots of people who go into this more in depth on their blogs and their websites and YouTube, but I just wanted to give you an overview of the tools that are out there that are already inbuilt inside of Facebook ads that you can use on Facebook and Instagram. You can use it in these tools inside Stories and Messenger marketing. All those things are here waiting for you, but sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming to go in there and press all the buttons. I don't know about you, but sometimes I worry if I press this button, is it going to start charging me money? Hopefully now I've got a pretty good handle of everything that happens inside of Facebook ads. But it does feel like it changes on a very, very regular basis. So it's easy for some of these things to just slip past you and you don't even know that they've been added into the Facebook Business Manager until you stumble across them. So just quickly recapping, we've got the dynamic creative where you can mix and match the text and the product and the images. We've got that dynamic creative for catalog ads, which is going to show a different version of the ad, whether it's carousel or collection or a single ad or video, based on what the user is most likely to click on. We've got A/B testing, so very different. Rules, automated rules, which I love and have made my life so much easier. The custom combinations for catalog ads, and the bonus one, number 6, is making sure that you optimize those images depending on the placement of where your customers are going to see them. So even though Facebook ads prices are going up, I really do think that with the huge increase that e-commerce has seen over the last month or so, it is really important that you are putting your business out there, you are running the ads to those products, and you are getting the sales that you need to get in order to keep your business running. And to be honest, I don't think there's been a better time than right now, because customers are out there, they're looking to buy products, they've got money to burn, and if your competitors are using ads and you're not, they're going to get the sale. Let's not let them do that. Go and jump into Facebook ads, use a few of these little tips that I've given you, and let me know how they work for you. Until next week, stay safe, and I'll see you right back here on the podcast with another fantastic episode. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.